Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's me, the Mothmaker, and today we'll be talking about the history of Ireland. Without further ado, let's get started. The history of Ireland starts a very, very long time ago, as during the late glacial period up until about 16,000 years ago, Ireland was periodically covered in heavy ice, and the relative sea level around Ireland was less than 50 meters, which resulted in an ice bridge between Ireland and Britain. And then by 14,000 BC, the ice bridge was only between North Ireland and Scotland. And then in 12,000 BC, Ireland was completely disconnected from Britain as the ice bridge melted. And then in 6100 BC, Britain became completely disconnected from Europe. The first evidence we have of people in Ireland is from a reindeer bone with chop marks on it over 33,000 years ago. But moving forward to 8000 BC, more sustained population was shown. Then, sometime in 4000 BC, Irish settlers were introduced to domesticated animals, such as sheep and cattle. Along with that, they built large log buildings and stone monuments, along with field systems that were developed in many different parts of Ireland, including the Seaday fields, which have been preserved below a blanket of peat in present-day Trioli, which might be the oldest field system in the entire world. And about 3500 to 3000 BC, wheat and barley were the principal crops throughout all of Ireland. But as we move past prehistory, we begin to reach the Bronze Age in Ireland started sometime before 2500 BC, with many new technologies being introduced, such as the wheel, harnessing oxen, weaving textiles, metalworking, and of course, most importantly of all, brewing alcohol. But throughout the Bronze Age, we see the emergence of a Celtic Ireland, which it's been highly debated for almost 100 years as to when exactly the migration of the Celts happened. But one of the most enduring themes of archaeological and linguistic studies into Ireland's past is that they believe the Celts migrated around 3500 BC, but this was only the first wave, as throughout the Bronze Age and after that, there were migrations of Celts, such as one in 600 BC. But as we move away from the Bronze Age, we begin to reach the very earliest records of Ireland come from Greco-Roman geographers, such as Ptolemy refers to it as Micra Britannia, which means Little Britain, and the Romans referred to the island as Hibernia or Scotia. And Ptolemy records that there were over 16 nations inhabiting Ireland at 100 AD. There is also a bit of confusion about the Roman Empire's relationship to Ireland, because many Roman coins have been found throughout certain settlements all throughout Ireland. But going forward, we continue to see a bunch of different kingdoms throughout Ireland, up until the 7th century, when the idea of a national kingship formed via the High King of Ireland, which was a king that ruled over many lesser kings and held control of Ireland. But the concept of a High King wasn't really a reality till the Viking Age, and even then, it was barely a reality. In 431 AD, though, Ireland was introduced to Christianity through Bishop Palladius and the most famous Irish bishop St. Patrick, who arrived a year later. With the arrival of Christianity, the older Druid religions all around Ireland collapsed, and Christian scholars began learning Latin and Greek, which was preserved throughout the early Middle Ages, unlike the rest of Europe, which fell into the Dark Ages. A mission started in 563 also began the tradition of Irish missionary work, which created monasteries and had a major influence on Europe during the 9th century. Vikings also constantly ransacked Ireland. Moving out of the early medieval period, we need to talk about on May 1st, 1169, a group of knights landed on the beaches of Ireland from Britain. Then, in 1171, Henry II arrived in Ireland and persuaded many Irish kings to accept him as their overlord, as shown by the 1175 Treaty of Windsor. Then in 1185, Henry, having lordship of Ireland, handed it to his younger son, and the lordship of Ireland was continued by the British Crown as a feudal system, which was set up throughout Ireland with many barons and manors. Then, in 1216, an Irish version of the Magna Carta was made, and in 1297, the Parliament of Ireland was established. Starting in the 14th century, though Norman settlements began to decline after the Black Death, and by the end of the 15th century, British authority had almost completely disappeared from Ireland, and Irish culture flourished throughout the island, with some British influences, but British rule was still unshaken around Dublin. Then, in 1542, the title of King of Ireland was recreated, but English rule over Ireland was reinforced and expanded. Then, in the latter part of the 16th century, the Tudor conquest of Ireland happened, which was an almost total conquest to Ireland, which was fully achieved by the turn of the 17th century. Then control was reinforced even more as the 17th century. A series of wars resulted in Irish losses, which resulted in many civilian and soldier casualties, along with many Irish being sent to be indentured workers in the West Indies, which almost cut the population in Ireland in half from its original 1.5 million people. Religious struggles only worsened the divide in Ireland, as non-Protestants were put at a major disadvantage as the Protestants became an Irish ruling class. Then with all of this, the Great Frost struck Ireland in December of 1739, which destroyed many important crops, which wiped out 1/8 of the population. Following this, though, the country industrialized, leading to a boom in population, and in 1782, Ireland was given legislative independence over themselves for the first time since 1495. But the British still held the right to overpower the Irish government without the Irish Parliament's consent or permission. Then, though, in 1798, there's a rebellion in an attempt to gain an independent Ireland, but the rebellion was put down by the British and Irish government. Following the rebellion in the 1800, the Union of Ireland and Britain occurred. After this, Irish Parliament was disbanded via a series of bribes and corruption, but distaste for this was seen by a failed 1803 rebellion. Ireland then passed over the Industrial Revolution because they lacked the materials they needed, such as coal or steel. The Great Irish Potato Famine occurred from 1845 to 1851, bringing the population down by another 1/3. And then people left for other countries such as America. Due to all the death and emigration, Ireland's population dropped far below what it was, and it never made it back up there. After all this starvation and death, though, Irish nationalism began to rise, and as it rose, laws were being put in place such that a Home Rule Bill, which would give the Irish an autonomous government over their own land within the UK. But World War I suspended the act before it could go into effect. But in 1916, the Easter Rising occurred, which was a rebellion against British rule, but it was quickly quelled. Then, in 1919, Ireland finally proclaimed an Irish Republic, with a government, parliament, and an army called the IRA, meaning the Irish Republican Army, which waged a guerrilla war against the British, which ultimately ended in a truce. Finally, though, Ireland was given its independence from the UK, with the exception of North Ireland, which opted out of the treaty. But this now leads us to...
Doing fuck all! Go find a fucking job, you fucking sausage roll looking twat!
Ireland, over the course of the next couple of decades, slowly separated itself from the UK even more. Ireland was neutral during World War II, but offered assistance to their allies. And moving way forward to the 1990s, Ireland's economy started undergoing substantial growth, and then it joined in the use of the euro. The 2008 economic crash cut the growth short, though, ending it, but Ireland has of course since recovered. But that is just a basic summary of the history of Ireland. Thank you for watching. Maybe subscribe, throw me a like if you really liked the video, and let's move on to my outro song. Hey everybody, this is my outro song. I hope that you do sing along. I'm the Moth Maker, and I make content. Please give me money. I need money. Please subscribe. I don't have a dime. I have really, really bad rhymes. Please subscribe. This is the outro song. The outro song. The outro song. This is the Moth Maker outro song. Please subscribe. I don't have a dime. If you give me a little bit of your time, maybe subscribe and give me a dime. A dime, a dime, a dime, a rhyme. I got bars from Mars. Girls go to Jupiter to get more stupider. Boys go to Mars to get more bars. That's what I'm saying. My name's not Lars. My name is Mothmaker, and I take time to make these videos. And I spit bars, and rhymes, and hymes, and lots of things. So please subscribe and have a good time. Bye.